You are listening to the Novel Writing Podcast, episode 198. Grab a cup, cozy up, and let's get to writing. Today I'm talking with Z.S. Diamanti. He is an award-winning fantasy author known for his Stone and Sky series and the Fables of Finlestia cozy fantasy books. He's a United States Air Force veteran, worked in ministry for over 10 years, and now produces videos for the Kindlepreneur YouTube channel on top of writing full-time. I first found Zach through his Kickstarter for Guard in the Garden and finally got to meet him in person at Realm Makers shortly before Wagons and Wyverns released. So, Zach, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
I am super excited to talk to you because I've been trying to get you on here for months, and I'm just so
Yeah.
glad that it all worked out.
Yes, my schedule has gotten rather interesting over the last year. Especially just, Garden the Garden kind of surprised everybody, I think, including myself, in the way that it was, I thought it was a good book for sure, but I don't think we were expecting it to go as crazy as fast as it has gone. So that's pretty cool.
Really? So you
Yeah.
weren't expecting the Kickstarter to take off like it did?
No, I think we had a good feeling about the Kickstarter. I think we're pretty close to our estimations on Kickstarters are getting really close now. But I think that when it actually released and people actually read it and they read this like veterans healing journey, I don't think they expected it to be what it is. And we're getting so much more word of mouth than we've seen from previous books like the Stone and Sky trilogy and stuff. Garden the Garden, people talk about this book, and
Mm.
it's very exciting.
How do you feel about that as an author? Like having this what is this, your fourth, fifth book that you've written take off more than the other ones?
Yeah, so let's see. Yeah, Garden the Garden would be the fifth book that came out, and it's exciting, honestly, because Stone and Sky. It was very exciting the way Stone and Sky came out, and it was my first book, and there was all sorts of hype and excitement around it when it first came out. But Garden the Garden has been even crazier and even better, and that's been like so huge. Well, I've been so grateful, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. Look at me going off on tangents right off the bat. Okay.
Yeah.
So I did mention fantasy, cozy fantasy. Can you just give our listeners a little bit more about who you are and what you write?
Yeah, sure. So I'm ZS Diamanti. Everybody calls me Zach or Z or Zed if you live in Canada or England. No, so I am a fantasy author. I've got, let's see, 7 books out now. Wagons and Wyverns just came out. It's the most recent cozy fantasy in the Fables of Finlestia. And it is all of the fantasy books. I only have one book out that's not in the world of Finlestia right now, and it's called Scorned. It's actually a twisted retelling of Hercules, which is very horror-y and a little bit of dark fantasy,
Okay.
very eerie, atmospheric vibes, right? So very interesting there. But all the rest are in Finlestia, which is this magical world where lots of different fantasy races all have their own air forces because I'm a military vet and my dad was in the Air Force as well. And so I've always had military aircraft flying around my head. And I was like, wouldn't it be cool if there was a fantasy world where all the different races had their own air forces? So
I didn't realize that's what you did, but now that you say it, it makes
yeah,
so much sense.
totally. Yep, yep. So that's where it all came from. And so we gave the humans griffins, and they became the Griffin Guard, and we gave the orcs wyverns, and we have orc POVs throughout my series and through the different books, and we've got, let's see, the elves have Pegasi because that just seemed regal for them,
Okay, I
and
was
then.
right then because when I did the unboxing of your books, I saw that Pegasus sticker. I'm like, oh, that's probably a Pegasus. So I'm glad I got that right.
Totally. Yep. And then I had to come up with something really great for the dwarves because we all know dwarves are the best. I mean, and if
100%.
you argue it, I just won't hear it, so it's okay. And so we had to come up with something really good for those guys. So I came up with this thing called a Garvok, which is this black panther with bat-like wings, and it's so savage that like they have to put teams of dwarves together to go and capture these things and turn them to stone using dwarven magic. Then they etch a rune on its shoulder, and then when they wake it up, it's bonded with a new dwarven warrior. So
It's
so
legit so
savage. That's
cool.
the only way they can do it, right? And so imagine those things flying around in aerial battles. I mean, that's what I was so excited about when I first started writing these books.
Nice. And we talked a little bit about Kickstarter when we got on. I first found you through Garden the Garden. My friend recommended it like with 20 hours left. I'm like, yep, back.
Yep.
And then you did Wagons and Wyverns, which was
Yeah.
fabulous. So how did you plan those campaigns and what were your biggest lessons from running those?
Oh yeah, sure. So Garden the Garden, let's see, Kickstarter, Garden the Garden, that would have been our third campaign. And I say our a lot and we a lot. My wife helps me out a lot with logistics and scheduling. We have two enormous calendars on our hallway wall. I mean, in our house. Like this is, I live this. I live and breathe this. And so we have these giant, we have a 2 year running calendar. I mean,
Wow.
every time we finish a month, she erases that month, so all my accomplishments are erased, and and then she fills it up with 20, I think 2027 stuff
Oh my gosh.
on that calendar now. But yeah, so I say we and us a lot because she helps me a lot with the logistics side and the scheduling side and all that stuff. Um, and I have a team now because of some of the things that we do now. There's too many things for one plate, and so I do have a team with an assistant, and I have an ads manager now. It's been a growing business as we go.
Yeah.
But Garden to Garden was the third Kickstarter campaign we did, and I learned a lot of lessons running into Garden and Garden because you run your first one and you're like, I have no, what am I doing? What have I got going on here? I had a couple of guys, just picked their brains a little bit. Um, whereas I totally wish I had a mentor when I first did the
Mm.
first one, it would have changed the way I did several different things. But, we learned that Kickstarter is kind of its own beast. It's a whole pool, a whole audience of its own.
Oh, okay.
There's so many people who will buy all their books specifically from Kickstarter, which is just mind blowing. It's not a thing I expected when we first started. Um, People on Kickstarter love to have that special thing. What are they going to get on Kickstarter? Like, what's their thing? What's the exclusive thing that they get because they're being a part of the process of creating this art, right?
Right.
And so we learned a lot of that in the first couple. And then, of course, we did the special edition for Garden the Garden. That was a big change for us. Um, when we did Garden Garden, we did a special edition that looks like this, which is ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, I'll describe it a little bit for you guys,
Yeah.
but it's got silver foiling on the outside, and it's got beautiful sprayed edges with the outlines of flowers that I actually drew, which is really cool. All the interior has like color pages and color chapter headers and all sorts of things, which is just wild, right? So,
Right.
it we really stepped up the game when it came to Garden the Garden on Kickstarter, and it did way better than the previous Kickstarters that we did. And we were like, okay, all right, so now
People
we know
want
what we're
special
doing.
pretty things.
They want special something. What are they going to get that they can only get there, right? And so now, even when I'm at tables selling at events and stuff, I go, hey, people, I'll put the special pretty ones on the corner of the table so people can come and look at them because they're like, wow, what is this? This is so pretty. And you're like, well, let me tell you a little bit about it. We do these on Kickstarter. It's so much easier for us because when you buy these special ones, right, when you purchase them as the author, it is so much more expensive to
Yeah.
produce these things. So for us, it just makes way more sense for us to just go, okay, let's do them for Kickstarters. We do the big Kickstarter, then we know exactly what our numbers are, and then we can buy them. Like we can order them from the printer. If like keeping a giant amount of stock of these
Oh my
special
gosh.
editions would be just insanity because it's
Right.
like that is a crazy amount of capital that we have to spend on something that's going to be on the
Okay.
shelf until it sells at some point that we have no
Right.
idea. So, um, you know, you gotta you gotta play the numbers game as you're going along, right? And the numbers get bigger, like
Hmm.
hopefully as you're working and growing and you're starting to build things, the numbers do get bigger, which does give you a little bit more space to do things. And that's when you start doing print runs and other things like that, as the numbers get bigger, and it's step by step, really. You can't just run into it and go, I'm gonna buy 10,000 of these. And then you're like,
I wouldn't
oh
have space.
no.
Oh
Like, yeah,
gosh.
what are you gonna even do with all these? And then half of them get destroyed in your garage when it floods or whatever,
Uh,
right? Like I can't even imagine that devastation, right? So it's a step by step game.
so for somebody who's never run a Kickstarter before, like what is the very basics of like setting up a campaign? You don't have to go into like the details, but like setting up a campaign, getting people to go to the campaign, things that people like being offered on campaigns in order to back things like special editions. So, like what are those kinds of things?
Yeah, if you're going to do a Kickstarter campaign for a book, one of the big things that I've already mentioned it, but I'm gonna harp on this is that the fact of the matter is Kickstarter people want to know what they're getting that's special. And so being able to clearly identify that and specify that in the language of the Kickstarter is going to help you a ton because when it comes down to it, like for example, I normally don't do signed hardcovers on my website. When people go to buy signed books from me, it's always paperbacks on the website. And so signed hardcovers is a special thing. And so we
Oh,
do
okay.
put that on there and we do specify that on the Kickstarter so that they understand, oh, this is something special. And Kickstarter people are very much about that. The other thing you got to remember is that Kickstarter has its own audience. There are people who, it's just like, think about it this way. Uh, People who like to use Instagram are going to use Instagram.
Hmm. Yeah.
People who like to use TikTok, they're going to use TikTok. People who like to use Threads are going to use Threads. Uh, People who like to buy books from Kickstarter, guess what? They're going to buy books from Kickstarter. So that's where a large majority of the pool is for the people that are going to back you on Kickstarter. What that means is that all your social media and all your newsletter people and all that, they're all amazing and you want them to back the Kickstarter. You want them to be a part of it. But the fact of the matter is that it's going to be a small percentage of those people that will come and back it. You really want those guys to back it right out the gate because you want that really fast, like, oh my gosh, we totally hit our, funding goal just like that. So that does two things, right? It makes people know that, okay, this Kickstarter is funded, which means it's gonna happen no matter what, which means if I back it, I'm gonna get something anyway. I'm gonna get something. So we're good. We're set. I don't have to like hope other people jump on.
Hmm.
So that's guaranteed. And then the other thing is it just shows hype. I mean, immediately sets up hype for the people who are on Kickstarter who will go and look and go, oh, this thing's looking pretty good. What's going on here? All right, let me jump on. And that's where you gather the large majority of people who will actually end up backing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that actually leads perfectly into the next question because
Yeah.
it sounds like in order to get that burst of people who like buying from Kickstarter, you
Mhm.
need to convince the people who are on your list, at least a portion of them, to go over to Kickstarter to back it, which means that you need to take care of your readers. And you
Yes.
have like this really great reputation for taking care of your readers. So, can you talk a little bit more about how you do that and I guess why it's important to cultivate that relationship beyond just backing Kickstarters?
Sure. Yeah, it's funny you say that. I'm glad I have a good reputation for that. I always feel that I'm not good enough even at that part of the game. And so the the fact of the matter is that you're selling books to people.
Yeah.
And if you can touch the hearts and minds of people and you can show them gratitude and you can show them grace and you can show them love and kindness, that's going to go so far, right? It's going to go so far. And I don't know why my mic got so much louder, but we're going to roll with it. It's like it turned on finally. Uh, the where was I? Oh, really, I have this mentality, and it's something I say all the time. My children help with all boxing of books, and my wife's always a part of it as well. And so it's something I say all the time. I want to surprise people with generosity. That's
Mm.
what I want to do. And so when people open a box from us, I want them to go, "Whoa, look at all this! What is There's so much going on right
I
here."
know that was my reaction when I saw like the actual wax seal on the envelope. I'm like, no way.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I went
I'll
and bought a
yeah.
custom wax seal specifically.
And I'll
Um,
link my unboxing video in the description so you guys can see what I mean. But yeah, there was just a whole bunch of stuff piled on top of the books. I'm like, oh, this is cool.
you're like, oh, what is this? Yeah, what is this? And another thing that I would try to do is I'm always hungry, I think, when I'm writing. So because I usually write in the morning and I usually don't have breakfast.
Hmm.
Maybe there's a correlation there,
Hmm.
but so there's
Maybe.
always food in my books. Lots and lots of food. All the characters are always eating. And so one thing that we do is we always put recipes in there. And it's kind of, I know it might seem kind of quaint and kind of goofy, but like when we send out these recipes to people when they buy signed books, like that's one of the things they're like, this is so cool. What is this? And you're like, I know, it's just like being a part of the family. Come on in, like enjoy it, like cook
I mean,
something up with us, right?
I think that that was my favorite part of the unboxing.
Yeah.
Like not even the books, but just I get 6 new recipes.
I know, and they're good, and they're really good. And it's fun because like they're recipes from the actual books, like from something the characters are actually eating, and it's just
Hmm.
it's so much more fun, right? And I
Hmm.
think personally, I've seen too many people who just don't have fun anymore in this world, and I'm like, dude, we gotta have some fun. So have some fun together, and I'm gonna surprise you with some generosity. Hopefully, you see something in these boxes that you're like, what? Like, I didn't expect that. Okay, this is cool. Like, let me bring you along on the journey. And then, of course, it's funny. You mentioned, fostering these relationships with readers, and that's a huge thing because there are readers who have been with me since the very beginning, who are very outspoken about the books. They just love them. I had a guy reach out to me just the other day, a few weeks back. He reached out to me, and it wasn't even a reader I knew. It was his brother who reached out to me, and he said, "Hey, listen, my brother is like your biggest fan in like all of like everywhere, right?" And I'm
That's
like,
awesome.
"Okay, yeah." And then he mentioned his name, and I was like, "Oh yeah, of course I know him. Yeah, of course I know him because I know his name. Yeah." And he was like, they're having a baby, and I don't know, like, they're having their first baby, and I don't know what or if you could do anything, but like, just I don't know. I just know how much he loves you, and he is like this is such a special moment in their life, and I don't know. I'm just reaching out, and I was like,
Yeah.
okay. I was like, dude, that's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. And what are we doing? My wife and I, we were like, okay, let's. I asked them if they had this specific book, a children's book that me and my children read together for years, while
Hmm.
they were little, and so we're just gonna send them a little care package, just a little something like that, because we just want to love on them
Yeah.
and surprise people with generosity, right? That's my motto on the back end. Not a lot of people know it outside, but like that's kind of the motto on the inside of the house. So.
Mm.
Um,
That
we
is
just
so cool.
we just want to love on people because there's enough meh out there that let's bring some joy into the world.
How does that translate into things like social media marketing or your emails?
Um, one thing is when it comes down to social media, if I see a comment from somebody I recognize, like because they interact with me all the time, I usually try to comment back if I can. Obviously, the social media platforms, a couple of them have gotten so crazy and so
Yeah.
out of hand that it's very difficult to keep up with that stuff. But on occasion, when I do actually get around to looking at some of the comments and getting to actually engage in that, uh, those faces, those profile images that I
Hmm.
recognize, or the names that I recognize, are like instant immediate people I'm going to comment back to, right? Like it's a no-brainer for me. I got to comment to those guys. And so I try to keep that fostered. But also when it comes to newsletters, I do get a little more personal in my newsletters. So like people do know what's going on like in my everyday life because I am talking about like, hey, yeah, so we took our son to college last week, and this is crazy. Like, our oldest son just went off to college, and so I'm having this crazy, like, existential moment where I'm realizing, oh my gosh, time flies. But I get to incorporate those things into newsletters, into the readers list updates, and that kind of stuff because it's personal, but
Hmm.
it's relatable. People get it. Like we all have lives. And so then after I tell them a personal anecdote, then I can go, okay, well, I know you guys really care about the about the update and how I'm doing on such and such book. So let me tell
Right.
you about that one. But there are a lot of people who are like, oh, that's so cool. Like, congratulations, like this or that. Just about the personal things too. And those are the people that they send me emails back or they reply to my newsletters, right? Which
Hmm.
is just so cool.
I think as authors we forget that people actually readers actually want to know more about us as people, not just as the books we write. And so,
Weird because people actually, I don't know, kind of want to know people.
right,
Want some
imagine
sort of
that.
connection. Weird.
Right. And so like when we're trying to come up with newsletter topics, it's trying to skirt around, oh, I'm selling my book and everything, when all you need to do is just treat it like it's getting coffee with a friend.
Yeah.
Like what
Let
would
me
you
tell you.
tell your
Here's what
friend,
I got going on. Yeah. Let me
right?
tell
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
And I think for me that's been kind of a game changer thinking about it like that because otherwise I'm struggling to come up with what do I want to send this week or what am I going to say that doesn't sound like
Totally.
salesy. And if you just lead with, oh, this is what's going on in my life right now, plus here's a short update on the writing, then you send it out. It's just the more you can get practiced at that, I think the easier it is to connect with people.
Sure. Yeah, yeah. I like to I'm very I'm weirdly organized. So like in this very strange my wife always says I'm kind of like a mad genius, like a weirdly mad genius. Like I'm kooky and crazy and zany, but somehow what I piece together actually works. Um which is beautiful and I'm so grateful for it. But yeah, my emails it's structured. It's super
Hmm.
structured, which is interesting. And I think I came up with a template that would help me to focus my thoughts. So I'm not rambling on to people as I ramble in a podcast, you know.
Well, I mean, you're
But
free to ramble here. It's fine.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's like, it's like that personal stuff right at the top. Then, what's going on the, writing world side of things. And then here are the book updates. And
Mhm.
that's kind of how I structured it and separated that out for my brain.
Yeah, I might borrow that for a bit to see how it works.
Yeah, it helped me a ton.
What advice do you have for authors who are struggling with marketing but want to learn it and lean into the organic marketing in particular, especially if they're new and they don't have money to spend on ads?
Oh, e easy. This one's easy. Test, test, test. I know that sounds super annoying, but seriously, test because the fact of the matter is if you can nail down your pitch, and even better, if you can nail down like three pitches around your book, oh my gosh, it's gonna make life so much easier, especially because as you test different pitches and then change a word in the pitch. If one seems like it's doing okay, okay, what if I change a word or just adjust it slightly this way and iterate it down to an actual pitch that actually works when you use it? Guess what? You can use it over and over and over. That's evergreen content, and it's going to make your life so much easier. The fact of the matter is, another part of why Guard in the Garden is has blown up so much more than the other books did before it is that the pitch was just that much easier to nail down. It's like it's a veteran's healing journey told in a cozy fantasy setting. That's pitch number one, and it
Mhm.
works a ton of times. Like it works over and over and over. Why? Because it's easy. It's easy to relate to. It's easy to go, oh, that sounds That's an interesting concept. And then add to the fact that I am a veteran. I am a veteran. It goes, oh, well, okay. So
You know what you're talking about.
there's something really cool going on here. I
Yeah.
really need to check this out, right? So that pitch was so easy to come up with, right? Versus, when I first had the Stone and Sky, the first Stone and Sky book came out, it was like I'm trying to tell people it's like old school fantasy, very much like I know it's kind of like if you love the 80s and 90s fantasy books, you're gonna love this, and it's like people were like, like, why do I want an
It
old
didn't
book? Like,
connect.
and it was very hard to try and get that concept across. And so, as more people have read it, I've gotten better at coming up with different pitches that kind of work better, right? So, uh, testing, testing. And how you do that is by
Posting, posting.
posting. And guess what? Eventually, some of them are going to land and you're going to go, okay. And you're going to start tightening it up and you're going to go, okay, now I see. And then you're going to really lean into it and it's going to take off.
Something I've noticed with your Instagram is that you're not afraid to do something similar, something basically the same over and over and over again. Like you don't care that
Yes.
people are going to see it multiple times because let's be honest, most of our followers are not going to see like 3% of what we post. So
Correct.
even if you go to like somebody like your feed, it can all look basically the same, but when you
Yeah.
go in there,
Yeah.
they're
You'll see
slightly
a lot of
different.
similar
Yeah.
things, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. One of the things that I learned very early on on TikTok actually was that like 92 to 97% of the views on a video I got were not followers at all. And I was like, wait, okay, so you're telling me just some quick, simple math. I might be better with words than I am with numbers, but just some quick, simple math here. If I get 1,000 views on this video, and 97% of them are people who are not following me, that means I get 970 new pairs of eyeballs on
Yep.
this video, which made me go, so if I post the same video the next day or 3 days later or next week and it gets another 1,000 views, that's 970 different pairs of eyeballs on this video. Oh, wait. And not to mention the 30 followers that saw it are probably not going to be the same 30 followers that saw it the last time. Wait a minute. That was
But
a
even
game
if they
changer.
did, but even if those 30
Yeah.
followers did see it again, it might have been long enough, oh, like since the last time they saw it, that they're like, oh, I remember this now.
Oh
Let me go
yeah.
check him out.
Yeah, or oh yeah, I forgot. I totally was meant to go
Right?
and get that book last
Exactly.
Friday when I got paid. And then they're like, "Oh, good. I'm going to go get it right now." And you're like, "Hey,
So it's a
amazing.
win-win.
It totally worked."
So knowing what you know now, if you could change anything about your author journey, what would it be and why?
Yeah, that's such a hard question because I'm such a huge believer in like learning through the process and
Yeah.
understanding, coming away with better understanding and knowledge through the process, coming away with wisdom in the experience. However, knowing what I know now, I dragged my feet for about 6 months before I actually started doing the social media stuff. Um, but came to find out that 7 month period that I did social media from, February of 2023 to the end of August 2023, right before Stone and Sky came out, that 7 month period was crazy. It was bonkers. And that's what got me going when Stone and Sky came out. But I dragged my feet for like 6 months before I actually did
Hmm.
that. So imagine if I had had that other 6 months, a whole year's worth of social media building and preparing before Stone and Sky came out. It could have been even bigger and better. But at the same time, again, I wouldn't change it. My experience. But for you guys, hey, anybody out there listening, go get going, like get started on it.
So it's like if even if you have books out now, start now. There's no
Oh
point in
yeah, of
waiting.
course.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I mean it's at the end of the day, it's organic marketing. It's marketing that you can what are you spending on this marketing? You're not so you can either spend money on ads or you could spend time on social media. That
Yeah.
those are kind of your best options, right?
Right.
And of course you could do events and stuff too, but the uh the multiplication aspect of that is just it's not even remotely close to ads or it's social media marketing, right? And
Yeah.
so social media at the beginning, I didn't have any money. So it was like ads what? Who?
Right.
No, right? Like gone. And that's out of my mind because I don't have time. I don't have money for that. Like that's just not a reality. So what was it? It was social media marketing. And so it was time and I had to put effort into it. And honestly, it works. And you see a drastic difference. I mean, I had two, I guess, two particularly great days of sales this month, specifically because one video did really well. And
Mm.
that's the thing. Like it's social media is like you can keep that ball rolling, but then man, some days you just hit and you get great sales and you're like, love it. This is wonderful. And ads are kind of you turn them on and
Hope for the best.
they can get better and better and then eventually you hire an ads manager because you don't want to because you can't handle it anymore.
Is part of your social media strategy moving people from being a follower to being on your email list?
Totally. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Especially early on. So for about, let's see, um, I started social media in February of 2023, and I was starting to move people to my newsletter by I probably March or April of that year. I was starting to like really push people that direction. And it doesn't have to be like it doesn't have to be aggressive like or pushy, right? What would happen was I would talk about, so I had this old school fantasy, right? And I was talking about old school fantasies like Dragonlance. And people would come in and they'd be like, oh my gosh, I love Dragonlance. And you're like, I do too. Who's your favorite character, right? Just like in the comments.
Hmm.
And they'd be like, oh, Raceland. And you're like, obviously. And then you go, and then afterwards you're like, man, if you really like this character, you probably totally love this character. And I have a whole story about that character, totally free story in my, in my bio where you can find it and you can get all these free stories about characters that you're going to meet in my book that's coming out later this year. Right. And so it was just those conversations in the comments of videos. And it was like, um, and this is like very guerrilla. Like this is like the one by ones. I know this is the hard stuff. But at first, that's what you got to do.
Hmm.
That's how you build the blocks piece by piece, right? And it was a lot of people would just tell me, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I didn't even know that was a thing." And I'd be like, "Oh my gosh, I hope you totally love it and have so much fun." And they're like, "Okay, I totally will." Um, and people were thanking me for them joining my newsletter. And I'm like, that is a
Wow.
cool thing. Like
Yeah.
that is what you want to do. Like that's the reaction you want from people, right?
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
you turned those free opt-in stories into the Preludes collection, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So you can get a paperback copy of the stories he's telling you about, but I'm sure you can still get them from getting on the email list.
Yeah, totally can. And but the thing is people enjoyed them so much. They were like, "Oh my gosh, are you gonna like sell this as a paperback copy as like a paperback?" And you're like, "Well, let me think. Do a little math. How many words was it total? Yeah, we could probably print that." And then you go and you figure out how to print it. And actually, it turned out to be a really great test book for me because I got to test printing and I got to test all the little things before my first book came out because
Oh,
uh, I was creating this preludes collection. So it was really cool. It was a
that's
really
awesome.
great, it was like a way lower pressure, like,
Yeah,
okay, let me test some of these things out that I don't know how to do.
that's awesome. Okay, sort of switching gears to Kindlepreneur because shortly after I backed Garden the Garden, I followed Dave Chesson and I was like, wait, who's this new face on this YouTube channel? And then I connected the dots. I'm like, oh, it's Zach. So, do you have any recommended resources from Kindlepreneur in particular that would help authors start with
Oh,
organic marketing?
oh
Like pick one
gosh.
or two,
Yeah,
if you
gosh.
can.
I mean, yeah, if you haven't scoped out Kindlepreneur, you guys have to check out Kindlepreneur, especially on the if you're a YouTube person and that's if videos is the way you learn, go check me out. I'm over there now on the Kindlepreneur channel. So we're doing videos all the time now about all sorts of different resources and things that are going to help you. Funny enough, when I was starting out, that's where I went for most of my like professional knowledge. That's where I went to learn all of the things. And go figure, now I get to make videos with them, which is super fun. But um, like the Kindlepreneur is just chock full of amazing resources. If you're a reader, or like if you, I mean, most most authors are readers. We like to read, right? But if you like to learn from articles and things like that with links and all sort, we've got all that stuff on kindlepreneur.com as well. So like whichever way you like to read, there's there's a way for you to learn from what we've got from the resources. Picking one is hard. Gosh. Um, yeah, honestly, it just depends. It just depends on what part you need to learn at
Mm,
that moment. There's probably an article or a video about it on Kindlepreneur. That's the facts. If you're like, should I like how do I format my book on
mm.
Word? We just did a video on that. Like there's all sorts of different videos, all sorts of different articles. Honestly, I can't recommend it highly enough, honestly.
Perfect.
And that's not just because I work with them now.
Right.
That's like I used them before I got that invite. So,
Okay. Is there anything we didn't cover that you think would be helpful for authors who are trying to figure out the marketing piece?
ooh man, let's see. Uh, Yeah, how about on social media? Okay, so all the different social medias, we talked about them all being different pools, right? They're different audiences because people who like to use Instagram will use Instagram. People who like to use Facebook are going to use Facebook. People who like to use Twitter or X, whatever it's called now, is they're going to use that. And so, interestingly enough, I use all of them. I have a social media. It's the same handles at ZS Diamanti on all the different social medias. And you know what I do? I cross post to
Okay.
every single one. I don't make like seriously, don't overcomplicate this thing,
Right.
guys. The fact of the matter is you will get some overlap. People who will follow you on Instagram and follow you on TikTok, or will follow you on Instagram and will follow you on Threads or whatever. You're going to get some of those overlaps for sure. But for the most part, they're going to be 90% different pools. Why? Because people who like to use YouTube are going to use YouTube because that's what they're comfortable with and that's where they're going to do their social media scrolling. So, what does that mean? If I make a video for TikTok, I also post it to Instagram, and I also post it to YouTube. Why? Because different people are going to see it on
And it
different
doesn't
places.
take any extra effort.
Yeah, it takes me 5 minutes extra, right? To once I post it to one, put it on the other ones, 5 minutes extra. And different people will interact with it on different platforms. So don't feel bad about that at all. And in fact, I highly encourage it because you may be very, very surprised at where your niche audience is
Mm,
because they
yeah.
may be your niche audience may be huge on Threads and you don't even know it yet.
That is a really good point because a lot of the advice is to pick one platform and then focus on that platform and pick the platform where you think most of your audience is. But if you don't actually know where most of your
Haha.
audience is
Exactly.
and you pick the wrong platform, you'd be wasting your time.
Yeah, yeah, you're just beating your head against the wall, right? So if you it's good to have your name on the social media platforms anyways, so nobody can
Right.
go out and impersonate you or anything like that. but it's also a great way for you to
Yep.
test because guess what? Some things work better on Instagram, some things work better on TikTok, some things work better on Twitter. You'll be surprised what works best. And if you don't test it, and by using the same content on the different platforms, you're not going to know which one's going to be best. And I guarantee you, you're going to be surprised. And not only are you going to be surprised which one performs the best for you, and that's the one you're gonna have more fun with that one because it's
Yeah.
performing better. Facts, that's just the facts. You're going to start having more fun with that social media platform because it's working better. Who wouldn't? That's a no-brainer. But you'll find that in seasons, different social media platforms are going to work better than others. So, for
Hmm.
example, recently, my Instagram has been way outperforming my TikTok, but my TikTok was the general, like, the man for a long time because that's where I was performing best. But of recent months, Instagram has been performing way better than TikTok. And surprise, surprise, I didn't even realize this until I checked the other day. I mean, this was weeks ago. Okay. 3, 4 weeks ago, I realized that what I do is I post everything I post to Instagram, I have it automatically go to Facebook, right? As
Mm-hmm.
you should, because it's just another platform. And now I don't have to go and post it again on a different place, right? It automatically goes there. I go and I find out that I got like, I don't know, almost 14,000 followers or something on Facebook. And the last time I had looked, it was like two, like three. And you're like,
Where'd
oh,
that happen?
oh, people, hey, what's going on over here, guys? You don't you don't realize which one's gonna work. And even me, even at this stage, I was surprised. Oh my gosh, I didn't even realize this was going on over here. So
Right.
uh, definitely test them, dabble in them, and cross post the content so you don't have to make all the extra content.
Yeah. Oh, that's such good advice. So speaking of different platforms that you're on, since you're on, seem to be all of them, what is the best way for listeners to connect with you right now?
Oh man, the best way is, of course, to go to freefantasyfiction.com.
Mm.
Freefantasyfiction.com is where you can actually get 7 free prelude stories about fantasy characters that you meet in the Stone and Sky series, and of course, actually, a lot of characters that you come to know and love in Guard in the Garden and Wagons and Wyverns. So there's lots of little crossover and Easter eggs throughout that. But you can get all 7 of those stories for totally free. You just join the readers list and you're part of the gang. You're part of the Griffin Guard then, and it's going to be awesome. But freefantasyfiction.com is way easier to spell than zsdmonty.com. And so freefantasyfiction.com is the way to go. And it's honestly, it's on my website. So you'll be able to find all the other things, all the social media things as well from there. It's just, yeah, freefantasyfiction.com was way easier to spell.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. Thank you again so much for coming on the show. I've loved talking with you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for having me. I was so glad that we actually met in Realm Makers.
I know.
I remember you coming up and I was like, oh my gosh, hey, like I know I had a message from you or something. And you were like, yes, I messaged you a couple of times. I know it's insanity, but it's
Well, I walked up and I was like, I'm here to corner you, and then you started to
yeah.
hide behind your shelves.
I
I'm like,
know.
it's a good reason.
I had such a cool little castle table
You
going
did.
on with at
That was
Realm Makers.
awesome.
It was great.
Yep. All right, everybody, that is it for today's episode. Thank you for joining us. And remember, the first draft is supposed to be garbage. The Novel Writing Podcast is a production of Colleen Mitchell Writes. For more writing resources, including Curios, Tally Inc. author services, and the 60-day novel writing challenge, check out the links in the description.